We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders.
Welcome to Marvelous Investigates, Outside the Box Part 2. In Part 1's live stream, we talked about two brothers, DM, aka Flannel Shirt Guy, and his brother, DM, who are prominent members in the Delphi community, along with their cousin, BW. We also talked about the Professor, otherwise known as CM. In Part 2, we will learn more about CM. All of us in the true crime community have listened to the 2019 press conference many times, but have we opened our minds enough to think outside the box and apply critical thinking to put together clues from this conference tying in CM? Fact number 1. The New Direction press conference was held at the Wabash and Erie Canal Conference and Interpretive Center. Before the murders of Abby and Libby, CM wrote a pamphlet called The Early Pioneers of Carroll County, Indiana, which was sold at this conference center. Fact number 2. Doug Carter states that they believe the person is from Delphi, currently or previously has lived there, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. All of the men we discussed in Outside the Box Part 1 currently live in Delphi or previously lived there and visits Delphi because they work there. Fact 3. DM, aka Flannel Shirt Guy, was at the bridge and has been interviewed by the press. The Professor, CM, is an avid geocacher who has set up geocaches and tries to find them or have other individuals find them. One of the terms in geocaching is hidden in plain sight. The words, "We believe you're hiding in plain sight" from the conference stood out to us. Did Doug Carter say this to get CM's attention? Fact 4. The police believe they have interviewed the murderer or someone close to them. We know that DM, aka Flannel Shirt Guy, would have been interviewed because he was on the trails that day. We are assuming that DM's brother to Flannel Shirt Guy was also interviewed. It is unclear if CM has been interviewed. Assumption number 1. Law enforcement is confident that the murderer told someone what they have done, or others know because of the way they have been acting since the murders. If a group of individuals planned this murder, they would know what was done because they helped plan it. Fact number 5. In an interview with Robert Ives, he explained there are at least 3 signatures at the site, and it was non-secular, which means a religious tone. What kind of religion does BG practice? On the outside, does he belong to a regular church, but on the inside, he worships evil? 3 years ago, a magnificent creator created a 7-part documentary. Those 7 parts were recently re-uploaded to his new channel. We want to send out a big thank you to the resurrection of True Crime Jesus for giving us permission to use his video, The Delphi Murders, Lucifer's Playground, to explain CM's history, the connection to Kelsey and Libby German, and the story of the mythical creature known as Krampus.
To the murderer, I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today.
At the times of the murders, CM had an ongoing archaeological dig. Preparation for this particular dig began many months prior. CM grew up in the Delphi area and has a vast knowledge of Deer Creek, the surrounding woods, and the Delphi historic trails. At the time of the murders, CM led an ongoing archaeological dig at Baum's Landing. Baum's Landing is located along a section of the Delphi historic trails, only 1.1 miles from the crime scene, literally a short walk through the woods. CM published archaeological booklet titled Early Pioneers of Carroll County, Indiana. The booklet introduces the readers to the science of archaeology and the archaeological research at Baum's Landing, copies of which were sold at the Wabash and Erie Canal Conference Center, the site of law enforcement's 2019 press conference. 1 year ago, in my video, The Geocache Theory, we examined a person of interest that for this video will only be referred to by his initials, CM. CM is an archaeological professor from a university in a nearby city. CM was conducting archaeological digs in Delphi for several years leading up to the murders of Delphi's daughters, Abigail and Liberty. CM was also intimately involved with geocaching between 2013 and 2017. CM had several geocaches around Delphi, one near the Monon High Bridge, and the trails, which was mysteriously deactivated immediately after the murders. There are literally millions of these little containers hidden all over the world.
We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight is a phrase geocachers use to describe geocaches that are right in front of their faces, but they are unable to see them. CM was an avid user of the website geocaching.com between the years 2013 to 2017. Archeo Krampus mysteriously went dormant after the murders. One can use this site to log, locate geocaches, and even place your own geocache. You can keep track of who has visited your geocache. Users log geocaches to gain experience on their geocaching.com profile. Another regular user of the site was Kelsey German. Kelsey had a basic membership. Kelsey logged 2 of CM's premium geocaches. First logged was the Silurian Reefs of Delphi premium Earth cache on July 3, 2016. The second was CM's Moss Cemetery premium geocache that was logged 2 days before the murders on February 11, 2017. Both of these geocaches were owned and maintained by CM. On November 27, 2016, the Stones of Freedom Bridge premium multi-cache was logged. This multi-cache requires counting stones and completing math problems to receive the coordinates. With the coordinates, you can then find the geocache container to sign the log. The Freedom Bridge forms the connecting link to the Monon Trail. Although CM doesn't own this geocache, Kelsey and CM were the only two people who logged and commented on this geocache that day. Kelsey commented first, so we know she was there first. CM's premium membership would allow him to send messages to other geocache accounts, including basic accounts. On February 11th, 2017, the last day that Kelsey and Libby supposedly geocached together, Kelsey and Libby logged 4 geocaches. One of those geocaches, Moss Cemetery, was the second of CM's premium geocaches logged by Kelsey. It was never explained how Kelsey had access to CM's premium geocaches, since a premium geocache would not be accessible to a member with a basic account. There were a total of 18 geocaches Kelsey logged on geocaching.com. 2 of the only 3 premium geocaches she logged were owned by CM. Months earlier, was it just a mere coincidence that the only 2 individuals to log the geocache at Freedom Bridge on the same day were Kelsey and none other than the local college professor, CM? On March 20th, 2020, a post appeared on Reddit from a user that called himself Josh Shure. This person claimed to be the boyfriend of a female student that was present in CM's classroom lecture on the day of the murders. Josh Shure posted her class notes from February 13th, 2017. These were the notes that were posted. It is interesting to note their class notes only contained tabs for the weeks of February 2017. Nothing before, nothing after. Reddit user Valkyrie Chic performed a handwriting comparison. As you can see, the notes appear to be written by 2 different people. Some think one author writes more masculine, and the other writer more feminine. The account, Josh Shure, only made this one post and then disappeared. The user never responded to any questions or comments on their post. The user also didn't respond to any private messages. The schedule he showed was the generic schedule that anyone can find online. Reddit user Lowerbird thought that Josh Scheur's alibi post linguistically created distance between the writer and bridge guy. Lowerbird wrote, the 2 times he typed BG, he didn't just write BG or bridge guy or even the killer. He wrote the man they call BG and this guy called BG, which both add distance between the writer and bridge guy. The writer never used Libby or Abby's names in the alibi post. Only once did he refer to Abby and Libby. When he did, he didn't say the more common the girls, but instead said the teens, which could be considered another linguistic element that added distance. CM's soil morphology course describes itself as a project-based course, and that students will be encouraged to engage in ongoing faculty research projects. Weekend field trips may be required. If weekend field trips may be required, is it possible they had a field trip on that Monday during the scheduled class time? From observing CM's online activity, it was clear the professor had a fascination with German history and folklore. All his screen names across various social media platforms all end with the number 1939. The professor makes many references to a mythological creature known as the Krampus. We already discussed CM's travel bug, which contains the Krampus charm that he keeps on his person at all times. Also on his charm are 2 tiny trowels. On the United States Department of the Interior geological map from 1962, 2 trowels mark the site of the old gravel pit. Those exact coordinates are also where Abby and Libby were murdered. Krampus is a half-goat, half-demon creature whose origins are traced back from German folklore, with roots going back centuries to ancient paganism. Krampus was depicted as frightening and gruesome, and would appear during the Christmas season with a large basket strapped to his back that was filled with bound children. He would then take them to his lair in the forest for torture, drowning, beating, and then transported to hell. According to the myth, Krampus always carries a bundle of birch branches to beat and terrorize naughty children. This is interesting when you consider the Delphi crime scene was amongst birch trees. Libby was also found nude and covered with birch branches. There is also a German tradition in which children would leave their shoes out for Krampus to fill with treats if they had been good. If naughty, their shoes would be filled with a birch rod. Interestingly, or perhaps telling, one of Liberty's shoes was at a different location. Perhaps a souvenir for a sick and diabolical predator.
True Crime Jesus gave us a lot of information in his video. Most of us know he is an archaeologist and was doing a dig at Bounds Landing. However, I did not realize how close this area was to the Monon Bridge. It's only 1.14 miles away from where Abby and Libby were found. It's obvious that Siam liked Kelsey and the fact that she was into geocaching and gave her information on his premium geocaches because she wouldn't have access to them with a basic account. Rumors are that Siam tried to get close to Kelsey and was always very close to her when they were together. Some say Kelsey looks like Siam's ex-wife. Was Siam attracted to her and wanted more than a friendship? One main point is that on February 11, 2017, Kelsey and Libby geocached together. This was only 2 days before Abby and Libby went missing and were found dead 3 days later. Siam also has a fascination with the Germans, especially around the time the Holocaust began. What was his fascination with Hitler? Does he believe in some of the same ideals of Hitler? Did he believe there should be one superior race and that the other races should be exterminated? Or does this go into his obsession with the mythology of Krampus? Krampus was known to torture and beat children with a bundle of birch branches. The area where Abby and Libby were found was surrounded by birch trees. It's also rumored that Libby was covered with twigs and branches. In an area surrounded with birch trees, we can assume Libby was covered by birch branches and twigs. It's my understanding that Krampus believed he would go to heaven even though he killed children, because he was ridding the world of bad and evil children. Even though what he did was bad and evil in his mind, he was doing a good thing and would reach the afterlife in heaven. Siam always carried around his travel bug that held a geocaching charm, the Krampus charm, and 2 tiny trowels. The 1962 map shows where the old gravel pit used to be on Ron Logan's property. This is the area where artifacts would lie from early settlers panning for gold. On the map, it is shown with 2 tiny trowels. The coordinates for this is where Abby and Libby were found on February 14, 2017. It has been revealed that DM, aka Flannel Shirt Guy, admitted to being at the bridge until 3 p.m., and his brother was located in the cemetery at this time. Why didn't either one of these men hear a commotion when Libby and Abby were abducted and fighting for their lives? The timeline Flannel Shirt Guy gives doesn't make sense. He left the bridge at 3 p.m. heading down the trail and would have passed Cheyenne and her friend. He also stated that he passed BG. And then he got to the area where he talked to DG about not seeing Abby and Libby on the bridge, but seeing a couple other girls near the bridge. Some remaining questions need to be answered. Why didn't DG go to the bridge to see if Abby and Libby were the girls on the bridge? Did DM, aka Flannel Shirt Guy, steer DG away from the bridge? Why didn't the DM brothers hear any noises made by the girls if one of them was at the bridge and one was at the cemetery? Noise travels in that area, and if there were any loud voices or screams, they would have heard it. Were they lookouts and brought in another person to commit the crime? Did Flannel Shirt Guy really see BG on the trail? Or did he make the story up to seem like he had important information and was vital to the case? Did he make it up so police wouldn't suspect he was involved? What was DM doing at the cemetery? Was he there to help BG bring items to the site to stage it? Was he helping BG get out of the area without being seen? Finally, Why haven't numerous students come forward to state that CM was at the college giving a lecture that day, or at the bomb site conducting his projects with his students? You would think that multiple people would have been able to give him an alibi on this day, but the only thing we have heard is from the post on Reddit. This is very suspicious and sounds like CM may have been trying to give himself an alibi. In part 3 of Outside the Box, we will be going over the history of Delphi. Stay tuned as this will be out soon. Thank you to Frank Meister and Randy Gravitt for their research, and to the Resurrection of True Crime Jesus for allowing us to use his video. Please check out Randy Gravitt and the Resurrection of True Crime Jesus' channels. The links for their channels are posted in the description. Thank you.